This is the Coach Bryan Moore Show with Opelika head football coach Bryan Moore. And now with Coach Moore, the voice of the Bulldogs, Van Riggs.
Welcome in another edition of the Bryan Moore Show. Van Riggs alongside. We've got the tight end fullback coach to kick the show off, Tommy Traylor, joining up with us. But, Coach, it is hard to believe. Here we are, the 7th football game of the season. I was talking to Coach Moore about it this week. It's just, once the season gets going, boy, it flies on by. Before you know it, we're talking about crunch time, playoff. Here we go, region play, the final 4 big ones on the schedule.
Really has flown. It feels like just yesterday we were back in February starting our 2-hour practices and then spring ball, and then just like that, here it is almost October and week 7.
Yeah.
It's amazing how fast it flies by.
Yeah, talk about this exciting group you work with. I know we talk about the Hammer a lot, but you've got some other guys along with Blake Johnson that have played a lot this year because Blake's been banged up a little bit.
Yeah, so these are the fullbacks and tight ends. We've got, of course, Blake Johnson that most everybody knows from. He does it all. He's a great all-around player, great ball carrier, great hands in the passing game. Has really progressed this year, I think, as a blocker as well, and really has all the tools there. Then we got Colt Dixon, a junior tight end that is working extremely hard, plays with great effort, and has gotten better and better every week. Next to him, Ethan Oil, a sophomore, has really stepped up. Tough for a sophomore to come in and play at the 7A level, and he's been a big addition to the group. Has been very impressive with his effort and his technique, the way he gets after it day by day, his approach to the game, and trying to learn and taking coaching is really, really impressive. And then Eli Brogdon, senior, that just moved to fullback this year. I think if you go back 6 or 7 months, I'm not sure Eli Brogdon would be standing in this room. He was an offensive lineman and was banged up a good bit. Ended up switching positions and has overcome a knee injury, has overcome all kinds of adversity, and pushed himself to be not only just a better player, but he's been a contributor this year. Like you said, Van, right. Blake's been banged up, and Eli's come in and given us some great work in 2 or 3 games, crucial games. Played a lot of snaps and done really, really well.
Well, Blake, let's pass the mic to Eli. We'll start with him real quick and talk about that transition, because I know from going from offensive line to where you are now, it took a lot of work in the weight room and a lot of work in the offseason.
I mean, honestly, I didn't even think I was going to play for real because I just came off of my knee surgery. So I decided to lose all my weight and get faster, honestly. I just wanted to contribute to the team as much as possible, and that's how I did it. I just kept on working.
What's been the biggest highlight for you so far this season?
I think when I had that stunner on my elbow, and I really only had one arm, and I destroyed somebody on the goal line, leading to a touchdown block.
Now, which game was that?
That was Callaway.
Callaway, okay,
yes,
all right. Well, we know we've seen you getting in there a pretty good bit. I know. Have you been able to take a lot from Blake and what he does and try to replicate that?
Yes, sir. I had no idea what any of the plays were, so I just kept on watching him and all the film and stuff, and try to be as much as Blake as I can. All
right. Well, good luck the rest of the way. Ethan, talk about you so far this season. I know being a young guy, sophomore, like Coach mentioned, stepping up. What's it been like this season?
It's been nothing like I expected. I did not think coming into my sophomore year I was going to start. I thought I was just going to be a backup tackle for Eric or Julian. And then one week, Coach Atkins told me, hey, we're going to put you at tight end. And, I mean, threw me into it, and I loved it. So, I obviously was going to push myself to start, and, it's paid off. I started in the past 4 games, and it's paid off. Yeah.
Coach Traylor, I know, tried to get the guy the football one time on a pass, but it didn't work out, but I know maybe we'll get it there again, right?
Yeah, and I won't put that all on Ethan, but we tried one time. That's right. You never know what could happen down the road.
I came off. I just banged up my shin, and earlier that week of practice, and someone took a cheap shot at me, so I had to come in 2 plays later and run a route. So, come on now.
Yeah. Well, now you're a guy that also moved from offensive line too to the position you're at now. How's that transition been for you?
I love it. I never was the biggest fan of tackle. Obviously I was going to play whatever they needed me. I was just going to help, but tight end, I felt like I've just because I'm not the biggest kid. I am pretty tall, but I'm not biggest weight. I'm not the strongest, but my technique at tight end is just like it's really helped. And that's the stuff I couldn't really do at tackle, but with my speed and my technique, it's really helped at tight end.
All right, well, let's talk to Colt Dixon a little bit. Colt, I know you're a junior, right?
Oh, yes, sir.
All right, talk about this season and what's been a highlight for you so far.
Well, kind of like what Ethan said, last year I sat behind Slade, sat behind all these people. It was just like kind of surreal this year and thinking like, oh, I'm going to play. And I feel like the role what I've contributed these past couple games has been like really made me feel good. It's really made me like love the game more because it's like I'm contributing. I'm not just sitting on the sidelines.
Now, I know you're also a wrestler. Hard to kind of wrestling and football. They kind of go a little bit together, both physical, but you can't, of course, do wrestling moves out there. Do you use any of your techniques from wrestling out there on the football field?
I get yelled at a lot because during wrestling, since I'm wrestle 215 and heavyweight, I like to hip toss people, and that's been something I've been getting yelled at for. But besides that, just how agile you have to be and like the way your hips and your body control has to be for wrestling really help a lot, especially blocking people, especially during practice, like Therese Thomas or Baby TJ, like blocking them. That's really helped with them.
Think you could suplex them? Maybe that might be a practice mode, but 15-yarder probably in the game, right, Coach?
Yeah, let's not do that.
Yeah, no, we probably shouldn't do that. Okay. All right, Hammer, Blake Johnson, I know it's been good to see you back on the field, especially last week. How exciting is it getting back on the field? Because I know it's tough to watch it on the sidelines being banged up.
I mean, it was very exciting to get back to playing football because this is what I really wanted. But also, I know I needed to take the time off, and then like having somebody like Brogdon or Colt or Oyola can all play fullback and tight end. Just to have somebody behind me that can step up and do the role, that was just.
What was it last week? Anything stood out to you last week? I know it was exciting to just get back on the football field. You got some carries. Hammer time came on the speakers. It was kind of like old times, right?
Yes, sir.
What are you looking forward to the rest of the way this season?
Just winning and as a team, really just staying connected with my teammates and doing stuff like not just at practice or on the football field, but outside of football, and just staying connected as a team.
Yeah, and what do you think? Where do you think the offense can grow the most down the stretch? Give the ball to the Hammer.
We got more options than the Hammer, man. We got C.J. Johnson in the backfield, Jordan Waits, got Andre Van at wide receiver. We got a lot of options. So.
Well, I tell you, the backfield's loaded, right? I mean, you
sir.
talk about the options you just mentioned, Jordan Waits. I mean, C.J. Johnson. You got C.J. Pink, who's healthy now,
Yes.
and of course Jalen Nelson. I mean, you got everybody back there, and then you got the Hammer. So it's fun to watch, right?
Yes, sir.
And I know the offensive line. You got to give them some big props too.
Yes, sir. Eric Mason, Debo, I love them, man. They put their body on the line for all of us. They all want to play. Like we got Isaiah Howell, who is a sophomore right now, but he had to step up in the big role when German had went down, and he just loved it. And he got the fire in him to go out and play hard every play, and he wanted to see us win as well as him.
Coach, you mentioned how he's worked on his blocking, and that's been he doesn't get talked about the blocking aspect a lot, but that's huge.
No doubt. I mean, that's such a big part of our offense is to use the fullback as a blocker, a receiver, a ball carrier, if they can do that. And Blake being able to do all three of those for us really, you talk about kind of where's the offense going. I mean, that gives us so many options with what we can do. And it's been big for all these guys to be able to contribute. They allow us to be fairly multiple with the things that we do. And these guys have put in a lot of work the last few weeks. And I think last Friday night, you saw a ton of improvement show up for them. I think they came out of that game with a lot of confidence, which is going to help them down the road as well. And so I'm very proud of them and the work they put in and dealing with me.
Yeah.
Colt mentioned getting yelled at a good bit. I don't know about that, but I may have a time or two. But they have put in the work, and it showed up against a good opponent Friday night, a physical team, and we matched their physicality and their effort and played probably our best game of the season from our position group so far.
Absolutely. That's tight ends and fullbacks coach Tommy Traylor and the fullbacks and tight ends in this segment of the Bryan Moore Show. We'll continue and bring in the head football coach, Bryan Moore, as we continue next here on the Bryan Moore Show. Back here on the Bryan Moore Show, I want to thank our presenting sponsor also, Glenn Smith Chevy GMC in Opelika off exit 62 off I-85. Get ready to smile. Here with the head football coach, Coach Bryan Moore. And Coach, what a tough game it was last week. We knew they were going to be tough. It was tough last year, tough again this year. Maybe harder this year to squeak that one out.
No
but, boy,
doubt.
hey, congratulations on the win.
Well, thank you. It was, it was a region-type game. It was back and forth. We felt really good early, drove right down the field. Great throw from Colby to Andre Van right there on a double move. Great call by Coach Atkins. And then they go back-to-back on us. Did a 2-point conversion. And it was really back and forth from there, And, credit to our defense and Coach Massey, though, as far as, really some wrinkles we had not seen. They had played some opponents in the weeks prior that weren't great. And so I think they had some time to work on some stuff. And, credit to Coach Shook and his staff. Coming up with a great plan. And it was a great football game. Great to finish it on offense. We drove it out from our 1 after a goal line stand, basically. So good to see, and just an all-around good win. And, we still got to clean some things up, 2 turnovers, and was not perfect in the kicking game, top to bottom. So continuing to work on those things, as we continue to get closer to the end here. It's crazy to be in week 7 already.
Thought the crowd was big, the Spirit of the South marching band was big, and I thought your defense was huge because there was 14 false starts that they had in that game, Coach. And a lot of it was to do with the crowd.
Yeah.
A lot of it was the pressure your defense was putting on those guys. They're trying to get a head start too, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's something we've always done, moving those front people, and just really proud of them. And again, the band, man. I mean, and a lot of it was right there. And credit to Pike Roads too. I mean, we had a couple as well. I mean, they were super loud as well. So a fun atmosphere though, and a lot of noise from our crowd early in the game, and kept us in it and kept the energy level where it needed to be. So that was huge, and that's home field advantage.
Yeah.
And we're going to need it again Friday.
All right, I know you've had guys banged up all year. Got some more guys banged up. How's everybody doing health-wise?
Good. I mean, we're getting healthier. Jeremy Dillard will be back this week at guard. He probably will not start the game. Isaiah Howell has done plenty to continue to keep his spot. So, excited about seeing Jeremy back in the lineup. Obviously, it was great to see Blake. Great to see Bennett back in the game. I thought Bennett, he didn't have a catch, but we went to him late on a 3rd down, and then he did a really good job of blocking and handling those guys on the perimeter. It was an absolute dogfight, with those guys. And so, it was good to get healthier. Norman Matthews will be back this week. And so, we're not 100% without Lakedrick, but we're getting a little bit closer.
Talk about the fullbacks and tight ends. We had them in the first segment. What a great group that is, because Blake's been banged up, but you've had some other guys that we talked to there in that segment to lean on, Eli Brogdon and the rest of them.
What's crazy about that whole deal is, first off, so when I was a ninth grade coach, Coach Blackman promoted me, and that was my first job, was our fullbacks and tight ends. And although the scheme has changed some, a lot of what we do, that's sort of where I cut my teeth as a varsity coach. And so that group's always been special. And what's unique about that group is only one was returning. Only Blake was returning this year, and so we had to take other pieces. Colt was a linebacker, and Eli was a center, an undersized lineman, and Oyola was a tight end, and so we were able to move those pieces and create a really good group. And listen, man, credit to Tommy Traylor. I mean, he's an outstanding coach. He's very, very methodical in the way that he teaches. He has a standard of performance that he expects from his guys, and they do it, And so what's even crazier than that is, Coach Atkins also was my fullbacks tight ends coach when we were in Hartsville together. So just a lot of experience with that position, and Coach Traylor's really elevated it and done a tremendous job. But it is a group that has improved every week. And people, if you're not watching kind of all the intricacies of what they do, it's very multiple. Like the way they line up, all the schemes. You're talking about a guy that has the down block, a 300-pound guy, and also run a route. So there's just a lot of complexity to that position, and I think Tommy's done a great job with them.
Coach, I think it's safe to say we haven't seen the offense at full speed, and really just go out to a ball game, play a clean game, and you're 5-1. What does that say about this team?
I don't know. It's just been this is one that I'll remember this year, and we got to continue to hunt it, and find that perfect game, And I used the quote last week, I was talking to the kids, said, Vince Lombardi said, you strive for perfection. You'll never be perfect, but you may be excellent. You may find excellence along the way. And look, we're not bending. The line is the line, and the expectation is there. And and our guys understand that. The turnovers have been very frustrating. I mean, the snap stuff, and it's not Corbin, all the time. It's a lot of different factors that have happened in games, and the interceptions that we've thrown.
Heights of quarterbacks change too.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely. And I keep direct snap. What do you think about snapping at one of those running backs? I said, listen, we're doing good to catch it with our quarterback right now. So it just has been, and again, that hadn't been just one guy either. It's just been it's been a weird year.
Yeah.
But the good news is, I keep saying, like, what's that going to do for us when we do play well? The first drive against Pike Road was the best drive of the year. It was smooth. We had the one false start, but we overcame it with a little split flow deal to CJ. And so that was really good to see. And then we had a great double move there at the end, and it just felt good, and that's who we can be. We can execute at a high level, and Witt can execute at a high level. He got an opportunity to play the whole second half, and we've seen him the last 3 games come out and play really well. So I'm excited to see the future. It's nice to have all our receivers back so we can kind of get on the same page in our skelly work and all that kind of deal. But I think the sky's the limit. Our running backs are really coming in their own. I mean, 2 of them were 100 yards, right at 100 yards, both CJ and Jordan Waits, and then Blake was 50. We ran for almost 300 yards in the game. We've not done that yet. And so for us against that defense with those linebackers to run for almost 300 yards, 6.8 or so a carry, it tells us what we can be. We're cleaner up front. A lot of credit to Coach Fleming and those guys. And he and his wife Abby are expecting a newborn. So, we're picking up the slack for Coach Fleming. He said, what do you think I ought to do? I said, you need to go to the hospital is what you need to do.
Probably so.
Easy, go. But just proud of him and Coach Epp and Coach Brown. And I told the offensive staff in our Sunday meeting, I said, man, I know I've been hard on you guys, and I continue to push, and try to strain you. But, man, y'all are doing a heck of a job. Like, we're continuing to grow. We're going to see one of those 40-point nights at some point where we really light it up and it just goes well, like an Enterprise last year. The way that game felt. We're going to get one of those at some point. I don't know when it's going to be, but I'm excited to see it.
Hopefully it'll be Friday night.
Yeah.
Let's talk Dothan, Coach. Yeah. We said back when we played Smith Station a few weeks ago, something similar to what you'll see against Dothan. I'm not so sure after I went back and watched Dothan it's even similar at all. In fact, they run the football, but it's completely different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's different. It's so fast.
Yeah.
Like even Smith, you think about the first couple snaps, it was happening really fast for our guys. And we can, our scouts, I'm biased because I'm with them, but like they do a tremendous job. Like they're giving the best look that they could possibly give. It means something to them. They care about it. We pick a scout captain from one of the kids that had the best week, against our defense and against our offense on the other side. But there's no way to simulate it. Yeah. And so, like, I can vividly remember I went to a coaching clinic at Troy, and it was a round table, small clinic, a lot of college guys. And the defensive coordinator at Troy had, like, Army and some different guys, like coordinators, and they were all talking about triple option and how to defend this single wing type stuff. And colleges start preparing in the summer. If they see it on their schedule, old Georgia Tech with Paul Johnson, right? Those things are so hard in 1 week to prepare for, it's almost impossible. So you got to have built-in things that you've been working on in the past, so we're not like abandoning what we've done. We've had some packaging. It was, like you said, good to see Smiths and get a little bit of work through that. But it'll be our biggest challenge defensively so far. They just know they have all the answers. Coach Kennedy does a really good job, and so he's elite at it. And so we'll have to be great. And really, it's about stopping the run, but the thing that scares you the most is the trick stuff.
Yeah.
The reverse passes, the double passes, the fight song stuff where the guy's running down the middle of the field and he's clean, and the stuff Coach Malzahn used to kind of sprinkle into his offense too. So it's a challenge. It's fun. It's fun to prepare for, but it's a lot for sure.
Yeah, and this is a team that went to Enterprise and scored on every offensive possession and put up 60-something points. So if that doesn't tell you anything, I mean, that shows how explosive they can be. Probably obviously their best game of the season.
No doubt about it. Yeah, but I mean, even Carver and Central, they scored. They had some long runs, and it's just so hard to over and over and over fit that stuff. Because there are just so many moving parts. There's some false influence stuff. Guards pulling one way, the ball's going the other. There's just a lot of things to prepare for. So, and again, they have all the answers and do a really, really good job. The key's winning first down. You can't, if they're in 2nd and 4, it's going to be really tough. 2nd and 8s are good. And so, you can get them in those long down and distance situations. And if there's any way you can change the scoreboard and get ahead in the game, it's the key. That's what Carver and Central did. That's what has to happen.
If you want a good in-depth preview of what's to come Friday, make sure and come Thursday, First Baptist Church Opelika. That's the weekly Opelika Bulldog football luncheon, $10 lunch. It's from noon until 1 in the 316 Center. at First Baptist Church in Opelika. And of course, need a big crowd Friday, Coach, in Bulldog Stadium. Just 2 more regular season home games on the schedule. It'll be 2 road games coming up after this one, and then back home for against Carver. And I know it'll be youth football night too, Friday night. Too.
Exactly. So our Parks and Rec and some of our travel organizations will come in, and they'll get to stand around and watch I said, man, look, those little guys that are watching you, they think you're superheroes. You might as well have a cape on, and the way that they see you, and so interact with them. We want them to be Bulldogs. We want them to want to play under the lights in Bulldog Stadium, and what a great way to do that. So they'll run through the little bus through and right on out by the band, and off the field. And my son Baker is part of that, so it'll be a lot of fun to get to experience that with them. And so we hope it's a big crowd.
He may
We're
not
going to need
stop when he runs through the field too.
There's no telling where Baker's going to end up. He could be in the crowd eating a pickle, for all I know, and he's supposed to be running a ball out. Who knows what's going to happen?
That's a good group too.
Yeah, it
ball
is.
Boys for
That's
sure.
right.
Coach,
That's
good
right.
luck Friday night.
Thank you, Van.
Appreciate it. That's head coach Bryan Moore. We'll see you back next week right back here on the Bryan Moore Show.